It is the Worst of the Riot podcast. This is the Thursday, November 16th edition. In today's show, I ask Isaiah if he has eldest daughter syndrome, even though he's neither the eldest nor a daughter. We also talk about a horse emergency that took place on a plane recently.
As well as Chuck E. Cheese taking something away that I don't think anybody was appreciating anyway.
Will it be missed?
As well as what you should do when you get divorced. Is it appropriate to show some rage? And more importantly, to pay to express that rage?
All good questions. Good show today, of course. So enjoy, and we'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, RadioU.
It is a good day, right?
Good morning.
It's a good morning, although I'll tell you, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this. I feel for you. I actually felt bad for you yesterday, right after the show. We were still here sitting in the studio when you got the news. The Browns quarterback, Deshaun Watson, is out for the season.
Real disappointing.
Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, I thought, the news you got of Deshaun Watson being out for the season, it's comparable to what happened to me with Aaron Rodgers, but yours is worse. Yours is absolutely worse.
Mine was in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
There's no chance he comes back.
Yep.
And we had already proven that we were pretty much destined for the playoffs at this point.
It was his best game as a Brown, probably.
Yeah.
He just played.
Coming off the highest of highs on a comeback win against the Ravens, moving us to 6-3 into a place where I was almost guaranteeing we were going to make the playoffs at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Into him being gone, unfortunately. Now we're down starting quarterback.
Yep.
Starting running back. And both our starting tackles.
Yeah.
So not
what hope do
good
you
for
have?
the Browns. But this week, we're starting Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a rookie.
Yeah.
Not starting P.J. Walker.
Yeah, I was wondering why.
See, my thoughts on this, and I actually agree with this, is because we've seen P.J. Walker play. He's like pretty much a veteran in the league at this point.
Yeah.
We know what he is, which is not very good. We've won a couple games with him. He's serviceable, but he's kind of a turnover machine in the games that he's played. Where with
real wild card.
Yeah. But his ceiling is so low. Where DTR has only played the one game so far this season against the Ravens, in which he didn't know that he was starting until the morning of.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't get the first team reps during the week or anything. And so this time around, at least, he's able to prepare for a full week. And I think at least with DTR, the ceiling is higher. Like, everyone knows there's a 0% chance we could possibly win a playoff game with PJ Walker. It just will not happen.
Yeah.
But at least with DTR, we don't know how good he is. We have no idea. And so for me this season, I want playoff wins. I want to make the playoffs. I want to win in the playoffs because our defense is so good.
Yeah.
Our team is so set up. I know we can't do that with PJ Walker. And so I would rather risk it. I would rather risk not making the playoffs than have a guaranteed first round exit.
Yeah. Maybe this is a Tom Brady moment for Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
We can only hope so.
Going to beat the odds if he's as successful at anything with the name Dorian.
Yeah.
That will be
That's why they call him DTR, baby.
A big shock. You know, one other reason that yours was the worst too is because it was unexpected. Like, you had no idea, right? He had been injured earlier in the year, but nobody was aware, I don't think.
It's a brand new injury. So he had hurt his shoulder earlier in the year, but this was a brand new injury that happened on Sunday.
Yeah. Whereas, like, you know, other quarterbacks, you see them get injured in the game, they miss the rest of the game, and you would kind of have time to, it's real painful at that time. But, oh, yeah, I saw it happen. So, of course, he's injured now for the season. Your mind has a chance. This is just
Total
a
shocker.
Cold slap in the face out of nowhere.
We thought,
a
too,
sucker punch to the gut.
He had like a high ankle sprain as well. And that's what I was worried about was his ankle. I didn't even know the shoulder was an issue after the game. And so, but apparently
He's just a fragile guy.
I guess so. I mean, he was able to, he went 14 of 14 in the second half with a fractured shoulder and a high ankle sprain. So At least for that much, that was a pretty impressive performance.
Some might say it's karma. Not me.
Some might say
Some
that.
might say it.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
Did you know that a horse could get loose on a plane?
I didn't even know horses were allowed on planes.
I didn't either. This one was in the cargo hold. I guess there has to be a way. Horses have to be able to get overseas, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people need to transport them that way.
Sounds expensive, but yes.
Yeah. But I guess if you did it by ship, the only other way, right? It would take a really long time. And so I guess it just makes sense that horses need to fly sometimes. But on this particular flight from JFK Airport, New York to Liège, Belgium, somehow one of the horses that was down in the cargo hold was able to get loose. I don't even know how they go about like tying up. Do they have like a stable on planes, or is it like a really big like dog carrier?
It's got to be, maybe they just tie him up.
Just tie him to like a pole or something, or like a heavy suitcase.
You think that the horse would be like sedated a little bit for this trip?
Yeah.
Like he would have some, like they would have some pill or
Because
something.
horses don't understand. You'd think it'd be very panic-inducing.
Well, I know that they even do that for some dogs if you travel sometimes. They'll like give them like a pill and they'll just be tired for the ride. And then when you get there, they'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, even if, you know what though? Even if the horse was sedated and somehow it got loose, that still sounds like it could be a problem. So the horse gets out of whatever kind of pen it might have been in and started, wreaking havoc in the cargo hold. And it was bad enough that they actually had to go ahead and turn around the flight and return to JFK Airport so that they could wrangle this horse again and probably, secure it a little bit tighter for the flight over to Belgium.
You got to think too, like, how do they know?
I was wondering that because normally you wouldn't need somebody to like monitor the cargo hold, right?
But maybe because they knew a horse was down there, they were like keeping an eye on it.
Or
maybe there was a camera.
Oh, a camera.
I'm thinking a camera.
Yeah.
And they saw the horse like doing wild things down there.
Maybe there's a guy. Maybe for long enough flights like this one or flights with horses, there's a guy. There's somebody that gets paid to sit down there. And every time he's got a book and he's like, I can't believe I have to do this.
I'm pretty
Nothing
sure.
ever happens down here in the cargo hold. I have to sit down here all alone. And then this time, finally, having that paid position paid off.
I'm pretty sure the cargo hold can get like really hot and really cold, can it?
Well, not too hot or cold for a horse, apparently.
Yeah, but that horse has different levels of coldness and hotness than a human being does. They're a little tougher than we are.
If they kept it like really cold, all of your the things you bring on the flight with you down there, like your suitcase, wouldn't it come out like freezing cold? Or
yeah,
and some of your stuff would melt if it was got really hot.
That's what they say.
I've never experienced that.
That's what if you do any research, they say if you're talking about pets traveling, they say that it gets really hot and really cold in there. So if there was a guy sitting down there, he would not like it.
Just bundles up. What about this then? What if the way that they figured it out? I like to picture this. I like to picture that everybody is up above, like in the flight, because the cargo holds down below, right? And like there starts to be a murmur through the cabin of like, you hear that? And it's like a clip clop sound
underneath.
Yeah, and the horse is like galloping such a degree that it's loud enough that everybody above can hear, and eventually, someone's got to go down and take care of it.
Yeah, that would be a better story.
Yeah. I'm glad that they didn't do the typical thing when horses get out of line and put it down. But I am.
Well, that would be a wild scenario. You take your horse on a trip and they're like, well, your horse was bad.
Well, yeah.
We're going to have to put him down.
A Harambe situation.
No.
I'm glad it didn't go that way.
They're not going that way.
It happens to horses sometimes.
Not just for getting out on a plane. That's their fault.
That said, if I was on this flight, I'd be pretty annoyed. I got stuff to do in Belgium, and we're turning around for a horse?
I'd want some points. I'd need a lot of points.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, RadioU.
We got some big Marvel news yesterday. one more chance for us to remind you that we now do a bonus podcast episode every week on the Worst of the Riot podcast. You can go subscribe to that wherever you get your podcasts. And our Worst of the Riot weekly edition this week was all about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I wish we had this news before we had recorded that. But the big news that came out yesterday, and that technically is still a rumor, is that the new Mr. Fantastic actor has been cast. Fantastic Four movie is supposed to come out in the MCU May 2nd of 2025. And it sounds like, if these rumors are true, Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards will be played by Pedro Pascal.
I'm okay with that.
That's a good choice, isn't it?
I like Pedro Pascal.
You want Marvel to, get some positive headlines. This is how you do it. This is how you get back in people's good graces. You cast Pedro Pascal for anything.
It feels like this is one of the better gets they've gotten recently.
Yeah. Well, you think about it, a lot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, many of the actors involved in it are not big names before they take over their role as whoever they are. But this is obviously Pedro Pascal, pretty big name, one of the hottest names in Hollywood right now. This is exciting. Now, they're saying it's not a done deal. And it may be difficult because Pedro Pascal, because he's so hot, he's got a lot of things going on. So it might be difficult for him to be able to worm in a leading Marvel role alongside everything else he has going on already. But I mean, you gotta make, if you're Pedro, this is a priority, right?
You would think so. I mean, if he's going to be in it, you would think that this would be kind of his new thing.
Got to be obviously a big payday, but on top of that, like, what would you rather do? Would you rather do Reed Richards or The Mandalorian?
People love The Mandalorian.
They do.
You better not mess with The Mandalorian.
Would you rather do, all right, answer this honestly. Would you rather be Reed Richards and save the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or would you rather be in a Gladiator sequel? Because that's another thing.
You're for sure doing Reed Richards on that.
Yeah. You got to call up.
But you can't comp Star Wars. You can't mess around with Star Wars.
Call up Russell Crowe and Riley, whatever his name is, and say, sorry, Gladiator sequel, I'm out.
Yeah, you got to think
Marvel
with
called.
Some of the newer Marvel characters, like a lot of the OGs are big names now.
Yeah.
They weren't like super huge when they got them probably, but some of them were still pretty big.
Yeah.
But this is probably one of the bigger ones they've gotten since, I don't even know how long ago.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd was Ant-Man.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The first time they've gotten a big name to be a recurring role, if this is true, the people would really know for a while. And you like the casting, like you think he makes sense as a
makes
Mr.
sense.
Fantastic.
Yes.
You have any thoughts in mind for who the other Fantastic Fours could be?
I have no idea.
You got the Fire guy. What's his name? Mr. Fire? No.
Mr. Fire.
The Human Torch.
The Human Torch.
Yeah. And then Reed Richards' sister, right? No, wife. The Invisible Woman. And then the Thing.
The Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see when they come out. I'm sure it's gonna keep on getting leaked. But that movie doesn't come out for a long time, huh?
Yeah, but
Not for like 2 years.
it's not too early now. Now that we know Pedro Pascal's in it, not too early to get excited.
Yeah, I believe it's supposed to come out in 2025. May 2nd, 2025.
If it doesn't get delayed.
Hopefully not.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
You seen anybody talking about this? Cricketing? You know what cricketing is?
I know what cricketing is.
Oh, you do?
I'm familiar with cricketing.
You ever cricket?
I've cricketed before. Have you?
Does it work for you?
Feels good.
I've cricketed.
Feels right.
Cricketing doesn't do much for me.
Really?
No, it
Not
does
a
not.
fan of it?
It just doesn't seem to help.
Do you do it with your socks on and your socks off?
Oh, why would I have my socks on in bed?
I'm just saying, if you do it with your socks on, it feels even better sometimes.
Sometimes some people,
That's if you're taking like a nap or something.
the people that don't know what cricketing is are now very confused. Cricketing is a little trick that is going around. It's having a little moment on TikTok But I mean, people have done this for a long time. Cricketing is where you rub your feet together while you're lying down in bed, and it's supposed to be a trick to help you get to sleep faster. And yeah, so now you see where the socks come in. For me, I've tried this. I didn't really realize it was supposed to help me get to sleep, I guess, but I just don't think it feels good to me.
Really?
Like,
I think it feels pretty nice.
I've rubbed my feet together. I don't think it feels. Maybe my feet are just too, ashy, too rough.
And does it feel like a massage to you when you do it? Maybe you're not doing it right.
You think I'm not doing it right?
Maybe you're not cricketing correctly.
Do you think I need to what if I need to, maybe I just need to lotion them up a little bit?
It could help too if you really, really focus on the arch of your foot.
Okay.
You got to cricket that arch. It really feels good.
Where do you hit the arch with your toe, with your other toe?
You want to do maybe the top side. I usually go with a, how the top of your foot's kind of like an arch, then the bottom's an arch.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You try to kind of squeeze them in there together. Feels real nice.
All right. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, according to Isaiah. But this is, even though this is like a stupid TikTok trend, it's actually, like, some researchers say that it actually is a proven technique that should help some people get to sleep. So if you do have struggle getting to sleep, rubbing your feet together, cricketing, as they call it, may work for you. Isaiah, do you have a trick that helps you get to sleep?
Yes.
What is it?
My go-to thing is I'll close my eyes and I'll imagine one of two things. I'll imagine hitting a baseball or chipping onto a green.
Ooh.
Those are my two.
Not even chipping in for the save.
Nope, just chipping it up there. And then swinging a baseball bat, making good contact. I just think about it over and over again.
Is that a home run?
It's very mindless. Of course it's a home run. It's very mindless, but it's not like I'm not at a stadium and the crowd isn't going crazy. It's just me solo.
You're at a little league
very
field.
Relaxing. So you have to think of something that's very relaxing in your mind. That's mine.
Yeah. My trick for getting to sleep is probably the top one is being tired. That usually seems to work pretty well for me, and I usually am tired. So the other thing that sometimes your mind gets racing a little bit, and you gotta calm things down. So something you can do is count your breaths, and eventually you just keep counting.
Oh, you're a counter,
and
huh?
you get bored. But what I've realized is, for me, I used to do that. Now it doesn't work as well, because what I've realized is I can count my breaths and also still keep thinking of other things. And so it doesn't work as well anymore. But those are my tricks.
So your tricks are be tired or
count your breaths.
Count your breaths.
Which will work temporarily, apparently. Or you can try cricketing or thinking about hitting a home run.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
We've reached the end of an era at Chuck E. Cheese where they have announced Chuck E. Cheese. They will no longer have Chuck E. Cheese and Mr. Munch's make-believe band perform at Chuck E. Cheese locations any longer, except for one, the Northridge, California. You want to see Chuck E. Cheese and Mr. Munch's make-believe band, you got to go to Northridge, California to watch them perform. Do you have any fond memories of Chuck E. Cheese growing up?
Not really.
You didn't
Chuck E. Cheese wasn't really my place. Wasn't really my spot.
None of your friends had birthday parties there?
I think I might have went to one birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, but that wasn't the go-to arcade spot where I lived. It's more of like a Magic Mountain type guy.
Oh, yeah. I think it's unusual. I think it's kind of... Now, I know some Chuck E. Cheeses over the years have already went ahead and gotten rid of the animatronic make-believe band. So this has been a long time coming. They've slowly and surely been moving towards this. But I think it's a little confusing, because once you remove the animatronic band, what sets Chuck E. Cheese apart from the other places that you mentioned?
From Dave and Buster's?
Yeah, Dave and Buster's. The other ones. What sets them apart?
The pizza?
Not much, right? Yeah, it's the pizza. Is that really what the Chuck E. Cheese? Is that good? You're going to hang your hat on that?
I don't know that the animatronic band was doing much for the kids either, if I'm being frank.
Clearly not. But don't you think there was a way? This could be a risk-reward situation, but clearly Five Nights at Freddy's, very popular. The movie, big success in theaters and on Peacock. And that's very closely related based off of like the Chuck E. Cheese animatronics, right? Five Nights at Freddy's. So maybe now would have been the time to lean into that a little bit. Maybe you make the Chuck E. Cheese animatronic band a little spookier.
Or is Friday Night at Freddy's, is that ruining the animatronics?
Yeah, that's right. That's
it's too scary now.
The risk reward. It's made children afraid. But children seem to like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie and the game, obviously. So I don't know. I think this would have been the best time of all to reinvigorate the animatronic band at Chuck E. Cheese.
See, in my mind, too, I couldn't imagine, and maybe there's some people that have been in this situation, I can't imagine even, like, having my child's birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. That seems like the last place I would want to go.
Why do you say that?
I feel like it would just be, number one, expensive. Are you paying for every kid? You're not paying for every kid, right?
I think you might be paying for every kid.
Then we're not going to. We're not going.
If the kid have to pay for themselves or the parents have to pay, then that's no present for you then as a child, like the birthday boy.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm paying for my child.
Yeah.
But I'm not paying for all of his little buddies.
Yeah, you are.
I ain't paying for them.
I think that's how it works.
Then I'm not taking you to Chuck E. Cheese.
Pretty sure. That's why my mom never threw me parties at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way. It's not expensive.
We're not made of money here.
I'm like, when we're making the list of people who want to come, you're picking if we're doing it at Chuck E. Cheese, then you're getting 2 friends.
Yeah.
If we're not inviting everybody, if he's throwing out names, I'm like, how good are you? Like, how close are you and Charlie? Are you really close enough to invite him?
When's the last time you talked to Robbie?
Yeah, are you really close enough to invite him to your birthday party?
Isn't he the one that broke your glasses?
It'd be kind of,
yeah.
Would you even be upset if he wasn't there? And so in my mind, Chuck E. Cheese, not quite the place.
Clearly, people do that. Clearly, that's a big thing.
It must be, yeah.
But then it is funny because I've never experienced this either. The idea that it's a birthday party going on, all the kids, and then all right, gather around, and then you all observe a concert of.
You all watch the animatronic band? Yeah. What? That's just there in the background. Nobody's sitting down and doing that.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess something to distract you while you're eating.
They got packages.
Pizza.
I'm seeing. Listen to this. Ready?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the birthday party packages, right? Which come with arcade games, 2 slices of pizza per child, and then there's 3 different categories. We've got the lowest category. This is where I would be sitting with my child.
Yeah.
Super fun. And in the second category, mega fun.
Ooh.
How about?
What's better, though, truly? Is super or mega better?
Super is the least. Yet again, that's for me and my
But
child
should that be accurate? Should they be reversed?
Then it's mega fun. Then it's ultimate fun.
Ooh.
At the top.
Yeah, ultimate makes the most sense. But I'm just thinking super versus mega. I think I'd rather be super. I think Superman's better than Mega Man.
Oh, so you're saying that their whole setup's wrong.
Yeah, it's all confusing.
Got it.
All right,
I would say for me, doesn't do much.
Yeah, times are changing. If you've got a Chuck E. Cheese band still at your location, you got to go enjoy it while you can because it's leaving town.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
Choice champions, Isaiah and I take turns, snake draft style, picking a team from a certain topic, a fantasy team. And then you get to decide which of us chose a better team and which characters we leave out. In this case, our topic today, I say characters because our topic is sitcom characters. The best characters from TV. I have the first pick. And I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at a list. Usually, we make a short list of whatever, preparing our big board. I have at least 9 that I have to narrow down.
And I know this is going to be one of those ones that a lot of people text in and they're like, I can't believe you didn't pick this person.
Yeah.
I'm like, I probably haven't even seen that show. So This one is very catered to my personal watching.
Yeah. I'm trying to balance here as I begin this Choice Champion draft, trying to balance my personal phase, but also trying to not be too niche, like also be, popular. So with the number one pick, I am going to select, this is partly strategic, I'm going to take Michael from The Office.
Good choice.
Yeah. I took him. He may not have been my first pick ordinarily, but I was afraid you may take him, and I definitely want him. So Michael from The Office is the first pick in our Choice Champions sitcom draft.
I'm going to follow that up with a popular character from Friends. Hard to choose, but I'm going with my personal favorite, which is Joey Tribbiani. How you doing?
That's I think most would say he's the most popular from the show, right?
He's just the goofiest, probably.
The most memorable of them
I'm going to
all.
follow that one up with another famous character, very well known for many famous lines. Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother. Another one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, that's a popular one. I've never really watched it.
I'm a big fan of How I Met Your Mother.
Doesn't it have Jason Segel in it?
Yes, it does.
I think I probably assumed that I would like his character
would.
better. Okay, so now I get 2 picks, which is good because the character I was thinking of taking number 1 overall, but I was pretty confident you wouldn't take him. That's George from Seinfeld. So many great lines. Obviously, all the characters in Seinfeld are great, but George is the best mix of funny and actually like having a little more depth to him. Because Kramer's funny too, but Kramer doesn't have as much depth to him. And George is a little goofier than Jerry. So I like George. That's going to be my other pick. And then this last pick is tough. This is tough for me because I've got to narrow down like 6 other options I had and choose just one. And I guess I'll go with Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. A narrow win over some of the other. He's isn't he the guy?
Charlie Kelly.
Yeah, don't people say you sound like him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People say I resemble his character a little bit with my voice.
You're not quite as
high pitched.
Well, yeah, he is
pretty close.
Uh-huh.
My final pick. This is really hard. I'm in between 2 characters from the same show because you went Michael Scott, and so I'm gonna go with Dwight Schrute.
Good.
From The Office.
Good selection. He wasn't even on my list though. But I also knew I was taking Michael from The Office. So.
Yeah, once you took Michael, I knew I could wait on Dwight.
Yeah.
Because he's another pretty popular character.
But Michael's more likable
than Dwight. But Dwight is just, he's so unique.
He is. All right. Recap. I've got Michael from The Office, George from Seinfeld, Charlie from Always Sunny. Isaiah, you have
Joey Tribbiani from Friends, Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother, and Dwight Schrute from The Office.
Who has the better team, and who do we leave off of our sitcom draft? 8772 Radio U. We'll get the results next.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Useless not. We're in the midst of Choice Champions. You want to cut and start over?
No.
Today's topic in Choice Champions is sitcom characters. I had the first pick. I selected Michael from The Office. Also went with George from Seinfeld and Charlie from Always Sunny. Isaiah, your team is?
I went with Joey Tribbiani from Friends, Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother, and Dwight Schrute from The Office.
And we have some votes coming in. Bryn says Isaiah's the winner, though I still think Jim is the best Office character.
I was in between Jim and Dwight. Lean Dwight.
See, my reasoning for not even, I thought about Jim, and I like Jim. But then I thought, we're talking sitcoms, we're talking characters that make me laugh. Jim makes me laugh, but only in relation to other characters. If you had a show that was just Jim on his own, that wouldn't be funny. You have a show that's Michael on his own, that's hilarious.
Jim's just very likable.
Yeah,
He's a very likable character.
Yeah. Nobody hates Jim?
Nobody. Love Jim.
Devin did not cast a vote, but did say we missed the New Girl.
Oh, I love New Girl. If I had gotten, but the thing about New Girl is I'm in between who am I going to pick, Nick or Schmidt? Like, I don't know which one I'm supposed to pick. And so that was a lose-lose situation for me there. I do love New Girl, but I didn't know in between Nick or Schmidt who I would pick.
I haven't watched enough New Girl to know. Aaron says Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. I can't talk. Wait for it. Isaiah wins, according to. And Aaron also says we missed Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec.
Another one that I considered.
I thought about that too.
He's a great character.
There's a lot of characters in Parks and Rec I like. I don't think there's any that are either prominent enough because we mentioned Purd on the show yesterday. I love Purd. I love Jerry. A lot of good characters, but I don't know if they're good enough to actually make. If we are ever going to have a Choice Champions where we extended it to more picks, today would have been a good day for that. Chris votes for you. Amanda votes for you. D says we missed Hawkeye from MASH, also Jim from The Office, and Reba from Reba. You ever watch Reba?
I've never seen it, but I almost went as Reba, the other half as in Halloween.
Have you ever watched MASH?
Never watched MASH.
It's actually a good show. Pretty old though. Abby, Dang Hudson pulling George Costanza. Love it. So that's a vote for me. Isaiah, who are your other honorable mentions?
I also considered Phil Dunphy from Modern Family. I love Modern Family. Phil Dunphy is a fantastic character. Heavily considered. He was my next pick.
Uh-huh.
And so he was the next one up. Also, Uncle Jesse.
Really?
Yeah, from
John Stamos.
Yep. And I also considered Homer, of course.
Of course.
I'm a Simpsons fan.
Iconic.
Robert Barone from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Is that's his brother?
Yeah. I considered Robert.
I wish you would have picked him. That would have
He's
been funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
His deep voice. And those are my my honorable mentions.
I had
Also, as well with New Girl, Schmidt and Nick.
I very nearly chose Larry from Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I thought him and George pretty redundant. They're very similar. So I decided to go with George, a little more widely known. I also like Tobias from Arrested Development. You ever watch that?
I've never seen that one.
It's a good show. Also, I picked Charlie from Always Sunny, but I also like Frank from Always Sunny a lot. This one I thought was a little too niche, but if I was just ranking, he may be in my top 3, and that's Pierce from Community.
Community's popular.
By Chevy Chase. And then also, I think it deserves an honorable mention, every character from the IT Crowd, because that is a good show. I don't know if you know this, Isaiah, counted up all the votes here. Last week, Nikki beat me in Choice Champions. And we all know I can't lose twice in a row. So I have won Choice Champions today, the sitcom character edition. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Something that's going around on TikTok as of late. People sharing their experiences with what is called eldest daughter syndrome. Are you familiar with this?
I've seen some of these.
Where the idea is if you're the oldest sibling, and sometimes this happens even if you're not literally the oldest, but if there's a big age gap maybe, where you wind up in some ways becoming a parent as well to the younger siblings. Isaiah, you weren't the oldest, were you?
I was the middle.
Did you experience anything like this?
Yeah, a little bit, just because there was a large age gap. My family had pretty large age gaps. My older brother was
what I was thinking.
A lot older than me. And so for a lot of the time, it was just me and my younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I felt like the older sibling. I was the older sibling to him, I guess.
Yeah.
And then my older brother was at college while we were growing up.
So did you think you had to parent him a little bit?
I mean, I had to look after him, of course, yeah. It wasn't full-on parenting, though.
Yeah.
It was just kind of I had to drive him around and do normal older brother things.
You know what's weird is I actually am the eldest of my siblings. And maybe it's because I'm not a daughter, I don't get, this is the parenting side of it does not ring true to me, where I never felt, maybe part of it was because my mom was a stay-at-home mom.
I was just saying, your mom was always around.
She was always around.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I never really felt like I was, like I had a big responsibility, like I was taking charge and had to, take responsibility for the younger three siblings that I had, even though like going down to some of my youngest sister, much younger than me, 8 years is a pretty big difference, right? It's not like I was her second dad. But maybe that's also, I was thinking, maybe that's just because I was a bad kid. I was a menace. I would not have been a good parent to them. So I didn't rise to the occasion. My parents knew they couldn't expect better of me because I would have not been helpful.
See, the issue that a lot of this eldest daughter syndrome, the issue that they're having is what they say. My parents had drilled into my head to always be looking out for my younger sister, to give her what she needs. I was taught to be very responsible at a young age, as well as I had a job and my driver's license before many of my friends. I find a lot of things from my childhood very nostalgic, and I wish that I could experience them again because they don't feel that they got that like childhood experience when they were younger because they were caring for the younger siblings so much. I don't really buy that.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I think that's not specific to eldest daughter syndrome. I think most people, you get to, at some point in life, you start to look back on your years when you were a kid, when you had way less responsibilities, and you think, I didn't make the most of that time. But it's time. You can never get back.
I feel like everybody has a feeling of that, though.
Yeah. But I guess the reason they feel it's taken from them and they wish they could go back is different, but it's still a similar feeling where, your childhood, you don't realize till you grow up that the freedom you have, even though you don't feel free, is so different that you will just never be able to experience later in life. What do you think? How do you think your experience was different, even if you didn't have, you had a little bit of the eldest child syndrome, even though you weren't the eldest? What was different for you than for your siblings?
For me?
Yeah, do you have like different rules or stuff?
My younger brother, by the time that he was older, it was just all different rules and stuff. But I don't know, there was a mixed bag. It was like sometimes they were like harder on him, sometimes they were easier on him.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a true. A lot of people say like, oh, my brother had it the easiest.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Or my youngest sibling had it the easiest.
It seems like the youngest one gets up because the parents are weary and tired and older, and they feel also like we tried with the other ones and it still didn't work out that well. So what's the point of trying with the youngest? I don't know.
Yeah, it was like a mixed bag because my youngest brother was also like the most well-behaved, so they didn't really have to worry about him. He gave them very little reason to be hard on him.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Obviously there's a lot of money in wedding planning. Just the wedding industry, a huge industry. But in China, it turns out that the divorce industry is also taking off a little bit as well. Check this out. In China, one industry that is taking off, or one kind of a profession, is the wedding photo shredding business. Apparently businesses are charging a pretty penny for couples that are divorcing to shred wedding photos. And you might think, well, I mean, what's your first impression of that, Isaiah?
My first impression, I feel as if you probably lost so much money with the whole getting married thing.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be as excited to spend more money on the whole divorce thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, no way I'm paying to get rid of photos. I can just toss them in the trash for free if I really want to get rid of them so bad.
Well, I have an explanation for why people don't want to do that, apparently. It says here that they don't want to throw away their wedding pictures because they're afraid they might get recognized by somebody. Somebody might see.
Oh, at the dump?
Yeah, I don't know. That's literally what it says here. Now, China also has a little bit of a different tradition when it comes to wedding photos, because instead of just like printing them out, like on a, like whatever the photo paper is, that they'll get these on like these tough acrylic canvases that are fire resistant. So you can't burn them, because burning them would be that if you wanted like something free and therapeutic, that sounds nice, right? But you can't really do that. And so then your other option is, like throwing it away. Apparently people are afraid they will get recognized. Someone will see their wedding photos in the garbage. And so that leaves industrial shredders. It's literally like, you've seen the videos on TikTok or YouTube or whatever of like those teeth that shred just like anything that they use at like actual garbage dumps to shred up car parts and stuff. And they're putting their wedding photos in that.
Do people actually like shred photos of their like ex when they get divorced? Like, do you think you actually do that? You know?
I don't know. I always thought it was kind of just a thing people did in music videos or something.
Yeah, I've always thought it was kind of like a cringy thing to do, to be like, oh, I'm burning this. I'm throwing this in the fire.
I think, first of all, neither of us, we have no experience with divorce whatsoever. And so maybe this is part of that, but I just think
like, can you imagine, like, it's not like something like a 16-year-old would do. Not like when you get divorced, you don't get divorced when you're 18 years old. Usually you would get divorced when you're like 35 or 40 years old.
You think you'd be more mature about it?
I can't imagine.
Like, we were two grown-ups, we just didn't work out. I hate him, but...
maybe somebody has done this, and you know what? It probably does. I'm sure they have, and I'm sure it probably does feel good, but it just seems kind of odd. I can't imagine like a 40-year-old woman like going to a shredder and being like, you know what? I'm shredding all the pictures I have of them.
That'll show them. I imagine...
I'm paying money to do so.
The people... go ahead and do this and you think it's going to be real therapeutic, and then it comes and goes. You shred the picture, or like if it was here, you burn it, you rip it up or whatever. And unless you're doing that, like the moment you find out you're getting, like the other person's like, I want a divorce, I don't think it would make you feel better.
You're going to try to find an opening on the calendar to try to go to the shredder.
Yeah.
And then pay for it and be like, well, I put my deposit down, so in 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be shredding this stuff. This is like the part in a movie where like the girlfriend, they just like broke up or whatever, and then she goes to the shredder, and then she starts like shredding the pictures. Then like halfway through, she like starts crying, and it's like, I want it back type deal. That's what happens.
Or she goes through the shredding process, realizes that doesn't make her feel any better, and realizes she needs to move on. Like she actually needs to move on and doing
like, what
this.
am I doing here?
Yeah, right. This is a ridiculous action to be doing. I don't know, but in China, hey, if you want to make some money, get in on the photo shredding business.
Maybe we need to start doing that here.
I guess so.
I'll burn, if you want me to burn your photos, I can help you do so.
That sounds fun. I just got a new fire pit. Be happy to do it.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
You ever go get endless shrimp at Red Lobster?
I haven't done it, but I like shrimp. I like shrimp a lot.
You are a shrimp fan. Some call you a shrimp head, I've heard. It's a popular promotion at Red Lobster, but apparently not popular enough, because Red Lobster, in their most recent report, lost a decent amount of money in these recent times. I guess the last quarter or so, and they're chalking it up to endless shrimp. I don't know if does that mean that people were eating too much shrimp?
They were.
For the price that Red Lobster was charging, or does that mean that not enough people were enticed by the endless shrimp?
Too much. People were eating too much.
They're taking advantage. They see that endless shrimp and they're going for it.
They were surprised apparently at the amount of shrimp people were eating.
Well, it's a tough economy now, so it's kind of a deal that's too good to be true. When you see it, you can't pass it up.
They were forced to raise the price from $20 to $25 because people just kept going. They wouldn't stop. And people are talking about gaining 8 pounds this winter.
Yeah.
You go to Red Lobster, you're gaining 10.
Yeah. Forget about the biscuits, too. Those are bottomless, too, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you match that, pair those up with the endless shrimp. You're in for some trouble. I don't think enough places do. And obviously it hasn't worked out well for Red Lobster, but I think this should be a promotion that is more commonplace. You know what I'm saying?
The endless meals?
Endless meals, bottomless meals. Keep on bringing this stuff out. You charge enough, and people will still think they're getting a deal, even though there's no way they can eat their way through enough to make their money's worth, right? This worked for Red Lobster for years until now.
Yep. And you think about, doesn't Applebee's have boneless wings or something?
One of those places that I always get confused, Applebee's, TGI Fridays, Chili's, maybe they've all done this, is endless appetizers.
Endless apps.
Which, yeah, I've definitely taken advantage of that.
I believe Applebee's has the endless wing. All you can eat boneless wings and endless fries. What a promotion. I need to go to Applebee's.
Yeah. Yeah.
For just $12.99. That's incredible.
That is a deal. I really feel like I could get $12.99 worth of wings and fries if I just kept eating.
If you go to B-Dubs and get 10 wings, it's like $14.
Yeah, that's right. And I can easily eat 10 wings. Typically at B-Dubs, on boneless Thursdays, I get 15.
$12.99 for endless boneless wings.
So do you have any? Let's do this. We could even open this up to the Riot Hotline if you want. What's another endless promotion that needs to be offered? 8772 RadioU. Let's get the juices flowing here. Let's get our thinking caps on.
Shrimp is pretty unique.
Why do you say that?
Because I feel like there's not many places that do like an endless shrimp. Like shrimp is kind of an odd. Shrimp isn't even at every restaurant. Like that's a pretty unique one.
That's a good point. So what's something that could set you apart?
It makes sense for Red Lobster.
Yeah.
To have endless shrimp. But most restaurants don't even have shrimp. So
a lot. Yeah.
It's pretty unique.
Many don't. All right, let's start working on this. 877-2 Radio U. Think of an endless, bottomless food promotion that could make some money for somebody.
I've got a good one.
All right.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Red Lobster, endless shrimp. Apparently, it's too good of a promotion. Apparently, according to Red Lobster, they recently their sales are actually down, or their profits were down recently because people are taking too much advantage of the endless shrimp deal, the ultimate endless shrimp, where they're eating too much shrimp based off of the price that Red Lobster's charging. We're trying to think of other ideas for endless food opportunities that maybe haven't been capitalized on yet. And so we got a good one here. Texted in from Kieran, who says endless pizza, thinking of like Cece's Pizza. That should be, Cece's, it's not as popular as it once was, or not as easy to find anyways as it once was, even though it's a great idea.
Love Cece's.
Yeah.
Grew up on Cece's.
And think about it. Cece's, is their pizza actually really good? Not like if they didn't offer endless pizza, where would it rank?
It's about the options. You walk in, they got dessert pizza, they got regular pizza, they got all kinds of things in there.
And it doesn't end. You just keep
endless.
We talked about somebody who stayed there for 8 hours recently. You can eat all the pizza you want at Cece's. It's a beautiful thing to think about. I was trying to think of, if you're doing this promotion, you want to have it's a restaurant where you want people to stick around. And something that's cheap enough that you could still possibly offer it as an endless option and not get screwed over on it. That's hard to do. The first one that came to mind for me, hot dogs. Because people in their mind, too, are going to think, I can eat a bunch of hot dogs. I'll pay $12.99 for an endless hot dog pass. And then they're only going to be able to eat like 4. But what kind of, hardly any places serve hot dogs, period. Forget about sit-down restaurants where you'd want people to stick around and try to work their way through a chain of hot dogs. So that one doesn't work as well.
Dime a dog night.
Yeah.
If they weren't a darn dime.
Closest thing.
You grab 4 of those, you never finish them.
I also thought endless fries, but I don't know if that would get people as excited.
It wouldn't do as much for you for endless fries.
And then I also thought there's a place that does that, Red Robin, endless fries. It is fun, but it's not like I got to go to Red Robin. They got the endless fries. I know I'll leave there satisfied and smiling.
And there's never a time really where I'm like, man, I wish I had another plate of fries.
Yeah.
Usually the amount I get, I'm pretty chill with.
Yeah. And the endless fries actually kind of messes with me because my strategy at many sit-down restaurants that give you fries is I eat the fries first. I clean those off because, and I'll tell you why, because they don't reheat as well as whatever the entree is usually. And so I'm like, if I don't eat all the fries now, I'll probably never eat them all. So if I want to get my money's worth, eat the fries first, fill up with whatever's left there. And then if I need to take some home, take it home, reheat it.
See, I usually do fries last because I know that I can always get fries down. Even if I'm full, I could do fries. But that's just my thinking. Do you have any other ones?
I don't know.
I got some others.
Keep talking.
How about there's not enough wing deals. There should be more boneless wings.
Yeah.
You should be able to, and I'm okay with it. Doesn't need to be the only option. I should be able to get 10 boneless wings at B-Dubs, and then I also could order the bottomless boneless wings, which is going to be more than like 20 wings, 30 wings. It's going to be more expensive, but you can get your money's worth that way, but you can take them to go.
But that also has to be for an individual.
Yeah. And there's not enough wing deals like there used to be.
Yeah.
Also, any place that serves pancakes, there should be a bottomless option.
Yes.
There always should be a bottomless option.
That's in line with the hot dogs, too, where people would think in your mind, you're like, I could eat 18 pancakes if I put my mind to it. So you charge me $9.99 for bottomless pancakes. I'm going to get my money's worth. But, I mean, realistically, you can probably eat, if you, like, didn't eat anything else, I feel like I could eat 5.
Another one that I have
That's
is
a great answer.
If you sit down at Steak and Shake, it should be bottomless milkshakes.
Whoa.
You should be able to refill milkshakes because then a lot of people, when you go to Steak and Shake, you want a milkshake, but you would wait till the end to do it. If you could and you might not be as prone to getting one, but if you knew you could refill as many times as possible, you would get the milkshake right when you get there, and you would drink as much of it as you could.
That's smart.
And you probably wouldn't eat as much food.
And still, Max, like people know they're bad for them, and like 2 milkshakes. You could charge like $2 more for the bottomless milkshakes, and most people are gonna get 2 at most.
Yeah, 2 max. Probably just finishing 1 in reality. They'll probably get 2 just because they feel bad.
Yeah.
Other ones I thought of, I think fried pickles as well, because you're really only gonna eat so many fried pickles. But if you had a bottomless option in most places, a lot of people would do bottomless fried pickles. But once the food comes, you're never picking the fried pickles over the food. And then my final one, this isn't really a sit-down restaurant, but I think there should be an option for this, and that's White Castle's sliders, just because that's another thing that I feel like people would go for the endless option.
Yeah. What about this one, too? What about another thing that we've actually tried this, bottomless donuts?
Bottomless donut's not a bad idea, but there's not really a sit-down donut place.
No, there's not. But neither White Castle's not a sit-down place either. I don't know. Like, I think the Dunkin' Donuts, I think the worry would be just that, like, all the fast food places now, they don't want you inside at all.
Yeah.
They might as well have the doors locked because they don't want you being inside. So even though they might make a lot of sense to have bottomless options, I guess if they're not serving like alcoholic drinks and stuff, like they don't want you sticking around. They want you in and out, get away. And so the bottomless donuts wouldn't make sense. But I can also imagine that it could be a fun promotion, get people swinging through. 8772 Radio U if you've got a bottomless food option that should be offered somewhere.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow at Radio U Official. The Riot. Radio U.
It is The Riot on Radio U, 8772 Radio U. Tomorrow is when the Radio U Christmas channel launches. If you're ready to get that Christmas fix, make sure you have the free Radio U app. Make sure you have RadioU.com bookmarked. Make sure you have the Roku channel. Instead of that Alexa skill, say, Alexa, open Radio U, then you'll be good to go for the Christmas channel tomorrow. Isaiah, how many slumps do you think you experience in a day, like energy dips in a typical work day?
Usually for me at work, I don't go through a lot of slumps because I'm just on the go. I'm going so fast. I have so much to do. So I'm never really
There's no time to be tired.
There's no time for me to be like, just like sitting there. I never really experienced that.
You don't experience that, huh?
I have too much going on. I'm just constantly running from place to place.
You're an energetic guy.
Yeah, there's so much for me to be doing that my mind's never just resting. I'm always doing something.
I'll tell you that the average American experiences not 1, not 2, but 3 energy dips throughout their workday. Yeah, that's how someone's feeling right now.
This is their first one.
They're trying
on the way to work.
Yeah. That's actually what it says here is that for 12% of people, their first slump comes before 9 a.m., which for many people, most people, be on your way to work. Some people are sluggish just getting started. But of course, the average person also hits the wall no matter how many slumps you experience in a day at about 2:36 p.m. is the time.
That's prime slump time.
Yeah.
When you're working that 9 to 5.
How many days? I was trying to think of what the equivalent would be for me because my workday starts at 5 a.m. if a typical workday starts at 9 a.m. and you're hitting it at 2:36, I guess that means I'd hit it 4 hours earlier. So that means for me, 10:36 a.m. is when I should hit my wall. I think mine usually comes later. I think I usually have one slump. It's not always at the same time, and it's not always for the same length of time. Sometimes it lasts 3 hours. It hits at like 10 o'clock.
I'm really starting to wonder what you're doing
lasts
around
until
here.
the end of the day often. Is how that works.
See, I think about this makes sense for people who work the 9 to 5. I'll give you the breakdown of why it makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So you do lunch. Most people's lunch is around noon. They're
Yeah,
forced to take
of
an hour
course.
lunch because their boss wants them there from 8 to 5, not 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And so they're forced to take that hour lunch, which is ridiculous, whatever. And then they do that hour lunch noon to 1. And then after lunch, usually everybody has a little bit of like that after lunch energy. You
Yeah.
get that kick, and then that wears off. And then you get that after lunch like slump.
Yeah.
And so that after lunch energy where you come back and you're refreshed lasts for maybe an hour from that 1 to 2 slot. And then once 2 o'clock hits,
Yep.
you realize you've got 3 hours left in the day.
Mhm.
There's
That still feels daunting.
you've
for
probably
sure.
already done everything you need to do for the most part.
Mhm.
And then you're just sitting there staring at your computer, just counting it down. And then that's where the slump really sits in.
That sounds pretty accurate. You start like thinking about the stuff you got going on the rest of the day too. Whether it's, I got to commute home, or, I can't wait to go home and watch Thursday Night Football or whatever, or hang out with my family, whatever it is. And so, yeah, it makes it real hard to be productive around 2:30.
And that's probably the time that you've put off as well. Like you already
Yes,
did. You already
you're
did all the
right.
tasks that you want to do.
That you knew you could accomplish.
Yep, and then now you're stuck with the things because you finished all the stuff that you wanted to do, your easy tasks, your fun tasks.
Yep.
And now the tasks you have left are your daunting tasks that you hate, that
Mhm.
you don't want to do. And so you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, I have 3 hours. Do I really want to take on this new project that I absolutely don't want to do anyway? And it's going to take me way longer and be way harder. And so then you're sitting there just in an absolute slump.
You've so accurately summed up my day right there.
That's why you want to kick it off with the things you hate the most.
You got to do the difficult stuff. That's why I do the show first thing every morning.
because you hate it.
Yeah. Aaron Cole, it is The Riot.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.